Morning, sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are back on track. So I guess the first thing we'll do is the drawing. Right? Since that's why everybody's here. And Gunner won last week. So it's $100 for at $100. So here we go. I'm closing my eyes. I'm putting it on top of my head.
Again. Could be. It's herself.
It's Terry Langdon.
Second time she's been pulled.
That's her second
Is she-
time. And
Is she on? Let's see. I doubt it. Nope,
not.
she's not on.
Oh,
wah, wah. Okay, so couple of things we want to talk about. We're having our party on Saturday. You guys are welcome to bring friends, bring family, bring kids. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna do cornhole, and I do need cornhole sets. If anybody has a set we can borrow. I do need some more cornhole, otherwise I'll go and buy them. And we're doing axe throwing, and we're gonna have music, and we're gonna have food, and we're gonna have drinks and sodas and an ice cream bar. And what
Okay.
else? And cornhole.
Mhm.
Okay, so everybody, that starts, it's gonna be hot on Saturday, so, but it starts at 6. So we'd love to see you all come in and celebrate with us. And then I am doing the first Thursday of every month, bagels with the broker. And I'm doing that in Visalia, and it's from 10 to 11. And I kind of got that idea because I get a lot of agents for office meeting here in Porterville. But I thought I'd spend a little time in Visalia, and you can just come, I'm there, but at least it's scheduled. And any agents who want to pop in, say hi, have a bagel, we can network, talk, nothing formal, just brainstorm, that kind of thing. Then on the 26th of June, we're doing lights, camera closings. So I've hired a photographer, and any agent who wants to update their headshot and maybe do some video content, come to the Visalia office, June the 26th, anytime between 11 and 1. I'm gonna have some sandwiches there, I'm gonna have some food there, and I've hired the photographer. She's gonna do the headshots for you. I think it's important to have updated headshots, and you can use them in your social media, business cards, whatever you want to do with them. So those are the three things I wanted to talk about. What else? Let's see. I think that's it for right now on that topic. Does anybody have any questions about any of those? The birthday, bagels with the broker, lights, camera closings? No?
Show of hands, who's gonna attend?
Yes.
Lights, cameras, closings.
Yes, I would really encourage everybody to attend, because I've paid this photographer. We want to get our money's worth out of her. So pop in, it won't take long to get a headshot taken. It's during the week. It's on a Thursday. Yeah. During the week. Okay, so the second of our lead generating series is talking about open houses. Last week we talked about farming, and Diego came in and talked to us about how we can get addresses, possibly phone numbers, emails. So I'm hoping everybody's working on their farm. I'm working on mine. And if you have any questions about that, reach out to us or watch the training again. It is recorded, but if there is specific questions, because I know everybody's kind of interested in, Jackie, the bulk mailing that Fred spoke about, which was 22 cents a mailer. Jackie's delving into that, so do not call me with questions. Call Jackie. She's working on that. She's going to be the expert on that. I know that basically you have to get a bulk mailing permit, and you have to put that permit on the flyers or envelopes or postcards, whatever it is you're doing. And you have to deliver to the whole route. You can't pick and choose which area. So if you want Westwood Estates in Porterville, you're also gonna have to go to the whole route. You have to, which is probably about 800.
It's like 500 to 1,000 every round.
500 to 1,000 in every route, but it's 22 cents. So
Mhm.
maybe look at what else is included in the route, because it may not be the best bet to deliver to the whole route if part of it is the mobile home park that you don't want, or an apartment complex that you don't want, okay? So we're gonna do open houses this week. Next week is, ooh, what's next week, Jackie?
Is it the sync one?
Is SOI, next week is SOI, and JJ's gonna help us, he's gonna also pop on the training and give us, make sure we all understand the basics of sync. JJ is going to be a sync expert, but he's working on it right now, and he's really delving into sync. So, but right now, we just need to know how to use it with our for our sphere of influence. Then we're gonna be doing with Austin cold calling. And then the following week, we're gonna be doing social media with Ronnie. We posted a video. Anybody who has something they wanna learn about for social media, because it's such a wide span of things that she can train on. If you have specific questions, reach out, let Ronnie know, so she can kind of tailor her training to answer some of those questions. Okay, but today we're gonna talk about optimizing open houses. Why host an open house? So there's a couple of reasons to host an open house. It's gonna be to appease your seller. If your seller wants an open house, a seller feels like, you know, they see a lot of flurry of stuff at the start. They see we are, oh, we're listing, and they're filling out disclosures, and we're taking the pictures, and the sign goes up. And then it's kind of, seems like it could quiet for a while. So they want to see something that's kind of tangible. So the showings are coming and going, right? We're seeing those. But when you host an open house, they feel like you're really doing something. A seller feels like you're really doing something. So we'll be honest, the chances of selling an open house, or the house through an open house, are very slim. Have you ever, Chris, sold a house through an open house? That house, that specific house,
A couple in 10 years.
a couple. Jared, have you?
No.
No, I did one, and it was a mobile home.
Hmm.
One in 25 years that I've actually sold that house.
I've only witnessed two other agents, zero on me.
Yeah.
Janice Wilson did one. And then, she had taken a purchase agreement with her at that.
Yeah.
one.
Janice manifested it, and she took.
The buyers did not speak English.
Dang, awesome.
Brought it off.
Congratulations, awesome.
And another agent that had hosted an open house a few days before did not follow up with those same buyers. And he did speak Spanish and lost it to Janice, who was there ready with the offer to fill in.
Right.
And then the other one was Melissa Craybon. She was getting ready to close up, and it was a big house. So mind you, she did all the lights. She was out picking up her last sign when someone showed up, and she went back, opened up all the lights, turned on all the lights, opened the doors, let them through, and sold it.
So when you're talking to your sellers about an open house, do not tell them that you're not trying to sell their house. You are trying to. But really what you're doing is to acquire, it's another form of lead generating. You're trying to acquire buyers, sellers, right?
Mhm.
And it's a great way to do it. Okay, Jackie.
Mhm.
Buyer leads. So people who it's welcoming for people to come to an open house. They don't feel intimidated. And their mind must be, as much as they might say, I'm not interested in buying right now. Oh, we're just looking right now. It's almost, I think, to get the agent off their back. You know, like when we all used to shop in stores, which we don't much anymore, and there'd be a salesperson and they'd come up to you, can I help you today? And what would I always say? Oh, I'm just looking. Even though I wasn't just looking, I'd say, I'm just looking, because I didn't want, same thing at a car lot. I don't want a salesman just on me, right?
Mhm.
So I would say, oh, I'm just looking, until I specifically needed help. So I think the mindset with buyers is being as helpful and coming from a place of contribution as you can. Um, that way they feel comfortable asking you questions. You might want to know what's for sale in the general area so that you can say, when I deal with it, I try and decipher, are they a potential buyer or are they a potential seller? What is this person coming in going to be? So if I determine, and I'll say something like, and I do not follow people around a house when I'm doing an open house. I just let them go on their merry way. And when they come back through, I position myself by the front door so they can't get past me without talking to me. And then I will say something like, what did you think? Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants their opinion. And, or you might say something like, oh, isn't that kitchen fabulous? Just something very hands off, not like, oh, are you ready to buy? Are you thinking of buying? Are you interested? Don't do that. It's too aggressive for people. So I'm just very nonchalant about it. And if they say, well, we like it, but the bedroom or the backyard is too small. If you know all the other listings that are similar in price, similar in area, you could say something like, oh, have you seen that house that just got listed on Salisbury? Right? So then if they say, no, we haven't seen that one yet, that will tell you they probably don't have an agent, or if they do, their agent probably isn't doing their job.
Yeah.
Right, if they don't know. And so you can those are leading questions that you can try and either get a showing, find out if they're pre-qualified, just see what the deal is. If I think the goal with buyers is to also say something like, oh, if I get something very similar to this, can I let you know? If something comes on the market that's similar to this, maybe with a bigger backyard, can I give you a call? Great. Try and get their number, try and get their email. Okay. If they have a question, it's gold. It doesn't matter if you don't know the answer, because it's another reason to call them back.
Mhm.
So again, we're coming from a place of being helpful. We're not pushing it down their throats. They may not be quite ready yet, but when they are, there you go. Maybe they'll give you a call. Try and have that connection with them. Okay, Jackie.
Do you ever ask if they have an agent?
I do.
Mhm.
I would ask if they have an agent. It just kind of depends how the conversation goes. If they say, well, so I'm gonna try and decipher if it is an agent from our office or if it's a different agent. So if they say something like, oh, yeah, we did see that one. Oh, okay, do you have an agent? Yeah, oh, who are you working with? And then if it's, oh, I'm working with Chris Webb. Oh, yeah, Chris in my office, he's amazing. I just took a step back, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, do you want me to show you this house? Now, if they say some other agent that I know and I have respect for, I will do the same thing. If it's Quinn, if it's Rick Conway, oh yeah, I know them, they're great. They'll take good care of you. Good luck on your search, right? That's about all I'll do. If they say it's somebody that I know ain't such a great agent, I may say something smart like, oh, I'm surprised they didn't show that one to you. That's a great house. And then it'll open up that conversation, because I've had them say to me before, yeah, we're not really that happy with our agent, I wish, or they'll say, can you show it to us? Now you gotta be careful now, because the buyer broker representation. But if you can find that out from them, like, oh, did you sign with them? Are you locked into them? See what they say.
How about if they say that they have an out of town agent? Do you probe even more?
I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me they have an out of town agent.
Oh.
But you know, maybe you would like, oh, why did you choose that agent? Are they in our MLS? Like, start putting a little bit of doubt in their brain, like, are you having to, you know, oh, I'm sure they're sending you stuff all the time, right? That's a good one. I'm sure they're sending you all the new listings. They've got you set up on the auto search. No, we have to find them ourselves on Realtor or Zillow. Yeah, that makes it a little bit tough, but that's one way to do it, right? There's ways to go around it without being totally obnoxious, but
Yeah, and if their agent's just sending them to open houses willy-nilly, you know that they're probably not pretty locked into. That's
Yeah.
how I got that $600,000 one.
Well, it used to always be said statistically that most, some buyers, mind you, they don't know the process of where to start. So they'll think that the only way to see a house is through an open house. And then in many cases, they think they're talking to the one on the sign, the listing agent.
Cindy Cobian has sold one from an open house. And so has Marty,
I did 5 in 1 year.
but not that particular house.
Just in that year for 5 one, one of them from one house.
One of them bought the house they looked
Yeah,
at.
that one on the top.
Yeah, Gunner had that happen once. Okay. So the next thing I try and just, if then I love it if they're a potential seller, right? And the question you could ask is, you could also ask this to a buyer. This is a good way to find out. Isn't this a great neighborhood? If it is, if it's a crummy neighborhood, don't say that. But if it's a good neighborhood, say, isn't this a great neighborhood? Because if they live in the neighborhood and they're a neighbor, they're gonna wanna brag and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we love this neighborhood, we've lived here for 10 years. Right? That could lead to the conversation of, oh, do you know anybody who's interested in moving into this neighborhood? If they say, no, we've been looking in this neighborhood, you know, you've got a buyer on your hands, potential buyer. But sellers are gold because listings not only bring sellers, but they bring buyers with them. So when you get a listing, you've got that potential of a seller, and then also all the buyers that call, the sign calls, the leads from the open houses. It just opens a whole nother marketing avenue. And if you're doing a good job on your open house and with your listing, and that's a neighbor that just walked in, they are going to want to work with you. This agent's doing a good job. That's why you've got to do more with an open house than slap a sign out there, put the signs out and put it on the MLS. If that's all you're doing, you are missing an opportunity. That's it. That would be like answering when we used to do floor calls, right? And they used to send us floor calls. Oh, Sarah, somebody's calling about whatever, you know, memory lane. And the agent answers, oh, hi, this is Sarah. Yeah, I'm calling about blah, 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 memory lane. Yeah, the price, you know, blah, the price is this is this. And then they would go, oh, okay, thank you. Hang up. You just lost that lead. You know, there's more finesse when you were doing, and finesse when it comes to your open houses as well. Okay, Jackie. So you want to generate a lot of traffic, and that's going to generate business. So the more traffic that you generate, that you draw into your open house, the more potential business you are going to have. This is also, fans on, a great way to test your systems and also see how your lead generating is going. Like, I would keep numbers, like, this is what I did for this open house, and this is how it benefited me, this is how many people came through, like, audit what you're doing. Know the numbers of what you are doing so that you can keep track and know what's working and what isn't working, because we're continually learning and growing and fine-tuning what we're doing. So try and keep numbers of what you're doing. The next group that you want to cater to, so neighbors. We want to get this out, right? Oh, you should be knocking on the doors of the neighbors. If you are not, again, you're missing the boat. So when you're dealing with neighbors, at the very least, you should door knock 20 across the street from the subject house when you're doing the open house, and 10 on either side. So there's lots of ways you could do it. You could door knock. Hi, I'm Sarah. I just want to let you know there might be a lot of traffic this weekend we're doing open houses. This is the day, this is the time, this is the flyer. If you'd like to come and take a look, I'd love to see you. Cause neighbors always want to see their neighbor's house. Yes, Jackie?
Nowadays, technology, if you're knocking on a door, no one's home, will you do the thing spill onto the Ring camera?
Oh, it's a great idea. Jackie just said, if somebody is not home and they have a Ring camera, why not talk to the Ring camera? That is brilliant, Jackie, because that gives you a whole, I mean, that's like leaving a video.
Because when we did the food drive, I kind of did that after a while. When I found the comfort to do it, I did it. I would tell it to the Ring cameras.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's amazing. So neighbors, you could also, if you were prepared enough, you could do mailers, you could do postcards regarding the open house, right? Jared, what do you do when you're dealing with neighbors?
You hit the nail on the head where they do come by just to be curious or, nosy.
Right,
So I always, have their little joke, well, if you don't own your home, if you'd like to pick your neighbor, you can, here's
Yeah.
a flyer, and if you know anybody interested, I would appreciate you sending them my way.
yep,
So,
With the ring, you press the button.
Yeah, like ringing the bell. Yeah, most of the time, some of them will already tell you you're being recorded.
But to leave a video,
Like ring the doorbell, and then the camera.
cause the
Yeah.
camera comes on
Mhm.
and you would just speak into it.
but it comes on without pressing it.
Too, yeah,
It does.
So when you press it, isn't that ringing them? And they're gonna get on there and be like, hello?
possibly, yeah. And then in some cases, like most of the time when I was doing the food drive one, and I saw like it would tell me, "Oh, you are being recorded." Then I would just hold the bag up and I tell them what we were doing, and I'd place on their door, because it was already telling me that they were recording me.
Marty did that too, when we were doing the food drive. Marty was good about talking to the Ring camera, like, hey, we're just leaving you a bag, or we're just picking up your, thanks for your donation.
Because
Yeah,
in many cases, you're gonna ring the bell in hopes to actually see the person and that they open the door. But if they don't open the door, you could speak into the Ring camera to let them know what you're there for. Because they'll tell you no one's home, leave a voicemail. Some of them do.
has anyone done a private open house for the neighbors? Like, say if you're gonna do an open house from 11 to 1, has anybody done like a private showing from 10 to 11?
Not really.
No,
How would you advertise that?
again, walk around and invite them,
So there was
Why wouldn't you just,
in case you just wanna know that they're neighbors.
you make them feel exclusive.
Exclusive. You might do a little something, and if, again, at your open houses, because we're trying to get sellers, I would probably put listing packages. I would have listing presentations there. Definitely. I would also have my lenders' info there, because if they are looking for, if they're buyers, they may not have a lender yet.
So there was a team that had spoken at one of the expos, and what they would do strategically, the listing went live on Wednesday, no showings until Saturday, which at Saturday they already had their regular open houses scheduled, but Friday was exclusive for the neighbors. And they would go around and invite exclusively the neighbors for the Friday night showing.
And I think it's getting those touches with the neighbors, it's getting face to face with those neighbors. It takes a lot if you're going to do an effective open house. These are the things you've gotta do. You're lazy if you're not. Well, you're being lazy, you're not lazy.
With the lender application, the lender should be able to give you an application that will have just the basics.
Mhm.
I've had multiple buyers apply. Instead of having them go online, instead of having them call, instead of having them make an appointment. I have one simple little page, they sign it, they fill it out, they sign it, I take a picture of it, send it to Wes, and he's already working.
Yeah, so Chris has the lender applications there. That way you've got it too. And it's Chris is then getting it to Wes instead of hoping that they apply online. Anything else that we do with neighbors? Any other ideas for neighbors? Jared, anything you do? differently?
I think
Matt.
just conversation is key.
Matt Bailey had a concert at one of those.
Oh, yeah, Matt Bailey did a concert.
It's next level.
Of course, that would not help me. They wouldn't come if I tried to do a concert. That would be a deterrent, so, but yeah, find your little niche, right, for your open houses, find what your niche is, okay, Jackie. Circle prospecting, so this is another way to lead generate from an open house, and if you get the numbers around, you can call. You can, I mean, you can call when you get a listing, you can also call to invite them to an open house. Has anybody ever done that? I've never done that. No,
It's really hard to, I mean, if you're gonna call, and the time of calling is a lot easier, but if you're like mailing and stuff like that, like very hard to get a mailing set up for.
well, you'd have to be so organized.
Yeah, and it'd have to be your listing almost.
Oh,
Like, you
yeah,
need
yeah,
to get
yeah,
your
of course.
Like you
Yeah.
couldn't just get that done, but yeah, circle prospecting definitely works.
Circle prospecting, you could call around and invite people to the open house.
Mhm.
It's a quick call. Make it their voicemail. That's okay. And if you're working a neighborhood like we talked in farming, and you do happen to start collecting emails, right, of that neighborhood, you could email them as well, the flyer, the invitation.
Well, it's like even in a sense of if you're on your listing, like I had on mine, I reached out to the agent that had their neighbor's house listed to see if he was hosting open houses that same day, so that we could piggyback on. They were doing yard sale, but yard sale still helps send them my way too.
Yeah. Okay, let's see that. Expired listing leads and for sale by owner prospects. So again, this kind of piggybacks off the farming thing that we talked about last week. If you are working expired listing leads and for sale by owner prospects, why not invite them to an open house and show them how hard you work? Show them why they should be listing with you. So, call them. Email them. Go by and drop off the flyer at their house. There's lots of things you could do, but invite the expired listing leads and the for sale by owner prospects.
I like using the SOI. Re-inviting my own people so that
Right,
they help.
that's the next one,
Okay.
SOI. So SOI, invite your sphere of influence. Let them know what you're doing. Do a mass email to your sphere of influence. And these could cross, because if you're working, if you're working a neighborhood and you're doing a farm, those could be in sync, right? If you're doing expired listing leads and for sale by owners, those could be in sync. But then your general SOI. When I get a new listing, I do a mass email to my SOI, just listed.
Mhm.
And then you can do the same thing, open house. I don't really do open houses anymore, but when I used to, I had one client that has never bought a house from me, but came to every single one of my open houses. Every one of them, him and his wife. And every time, and then when they stopped coming, I'm like, Brad, why'd you stop coming? Of course, I don't do open houses anymore, but when I did, they'd come to every one. And they would just say hi, they'd come and have a snack. It was a body that filled up the room, and I expected to see them. And it was, but they weren't controlling my time. The ones that get a little touchier, the ones that come corner you and, it's, and talk, yes, and talk. Does anybody do anything differently with their sphere of influence and open houses? Any ideas how we could work that?
If I'm not having a busy open house, I sit there and text them to my friends and tell them, hey, I'm hosting open house. Do you know anyone that might be interested?
Yep, Jackie takes that time to reach out to people with a personal invitation to come by.
It's like reply.
Facebook Live, yeah, that's a great one. I know Chris has done that a lot, right? You go on Facebook. Yeah, and I have seen people on social media doing that. Jared, you've done that.
Mhm.
I've seen Jared do it during, before, and after picking up signs. So Jared from One Open House gets a lot of content. And if you are not busy at an open house, don't sit there. Take the time to either do a video do some still, anything you can do, take pictures, use it for content later. Or do a video and say, if you can't make it to my open house, call me for a private showing.
Mhm.
That's what I've done, ever since I learned how to use CapCut.
Yep. Yep,
You just do the videos while you're sitting there.
Yep.
Or if it's slow, and I'll just sit there and do a bunch of different videos, and then I'll make a little CapCut and put music on it and play with the videos and the pictures and make a video.
yeah, so Chris uses CapCut. He doesn't waste his time. Plus, there's nothing more boring than sitting there, right? I mean, my brain will only do about 2 hours at an open house. That's about all I can take. But I know there are agents that are brave and have done 3 or 4 hours. And you've got to have some time. I mean, you've got to, unless it's just a hopping open house, make the best of it. Okay?
Affiliates.
Affiliates, yes. So you can invite affiliates. They might bring snacks, they might bring the food. But it doesn't hurt to have a lender on site. I would be careful about having too many affiliates and an agent. It's intimidating to people. They don't like it. And make sure that the lender is your personality, helpful but not aggressive, right? Because if they are coming at them, they're gonna be like, oh God, no, I don't want them. So I would say affiliates, and plus affiliates might be doing some social media marketing. You get some cross marketing going. They're doing an advertisement for your listing as well as you.
Mhm.
Okay, has any other thing with affiliates? I guess you could promote, like if you have business cards, like the movers, like Cross, why couldn't we have his business cards or a flyer?
Mhm.
Pest control, handyman, anything. You could have lawn care. If you have relationships with affiliates, bring all that info to your open houses. And you could have that laid out nicely, of course, but have it laid out nicely. Okay, next one. So this is just kind of reiterating, you can do open house flyers and mailers. Those can be sent out to whoever you want. It could be your sphere of influence, it could be the neighbors. But a flyer is gonna be, those could be passed out, those could be put on the doorstep, and a mailer is gonna be something you mail, whether it's a postcard. But like we were talking about, you've gotta be pretty organized. It can't be a last minute thing.
I'm trying to think, Wise Pelican, they can send them out and with the rush charge, but I mean, even then, you have to send them on a Monday, hope that they get there.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah. Next one, Jackie, phone calls. So make sure you guys are utilizing phone calls with all of these people to contact. These are just different ideas of ways to contact them. Call people, hey, how about making a phone call to your SOI, part of your touches for an open house? Okay. Next one. Social media. Make sure you're promoting it on social media. It's gonna go on MLS, but make sure you're on social media. Even if for some weird reason, because Romeo always does such a good job, but let's say for some reason, you don't get the request in, or something goes wrong and you don't get a flyer. You don't need a flyer to do an open house. Just post, do a picture, share it on the MLS, put open house. There's lots of ways to do it. Scheduling. So I think you need to be somewhat strategic about scheduling. How do you schedule your open houses, Jared? Do you have any kind of
Not during
strategy?
football season or Sundays.
Okay.
That for him.
Not during football season or Sundays?
Saturdays are better to me, but
Sunday.
Sunday evenings have been,
Football.
Oh,
when
Sunday
it's football season, no way. No,
Okay.
not that.
Okay.
Yeah.
On a Sunday. So during football season, do not do it on a Sunday, do it on a Saturday.
11 to 1's best bet.
I think 11 to 1 is good because
Church people.
church, still have time for people who go to church to come on a Sunday.
There's another thing that I used to do, and it's kind of hard now with the market the way it is, but when there's multiple opportunities for an open house, schedule multiple on the same day, because you'll see these people at multiple properties. They're going out and looking at open houses. If they see you at one and then an hour later they see you at another one, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this guy's on. And I've gotten multiple from doing that.
Yeah, so multiple open houses.
Partner up with another agent.
And try to get if you're doing open houses like on a weekend, try to do it in the same price range, so you see the same people. You're not getting high end stuff to low end. If you're in the 350,
Yeah.
try to be in that range. I
So
know
you
it's hard
see those same people.
when they see you.
I know, Chris, you said partnering with an agent.
Meaning like, kinda like how it used to be extravaganzas.
Yeah,
So like what he's saying, if you like find out in the office who else is doing open houses and maybe have a little route like we did the extravaganza, or maybe share flyers with each other and say, hey, you check this one out, this one's over here.
what about if you did this? What about if you partnered with an agent, like the two of you, and then, but you booked your open houses back to back, like back to back to back, and so like, say it was you and I, so you would stay and I would go and get ready for the second one, I'd put the signs out, get the house open, and then you'd come over. And then we'd do the same thing with the third one, so they were back to back, and people would be like, oh, you guys are here too, you know, and you can tell people, we're going to the next one, I think that's a good idea.
Like together,
Yeah,
both agents at the same
Yeah.
house.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna be splitting leads, but
Or you can stagger them, like to where you're at one while that person's at
That's
one.
what I mean, is switch it, yeah.
oh, that's a good idea, yeah, you could do that.
And if you could, then you could tell people, if they came to yours, be like, hey, I'm in 45 minutes, I'm gonna be over at this one, come check this one out too.
Yeah.
And then that way you guys aren't stealing each other's clients.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or when you have somebody that says, my wife doesn't get off until this time, will you be able, and maybe, I mean, usually we just do private showing, but you can say, well, I've got my agent friends that are here until this time.
So we know Sundays during football season is bad, what else is bad?
Have we, on holidays, it's been a hit and miss on holidays? What have we seen? Cause I know this weekend, Cindy Correa had a good turnout, but I know in some cases. it's a
I
hit-
always feel like holidays are gonna be really good or really bad.
Mhm. Winter, it goes slow during winter time.
Well, that's just the name of the game with open houses.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
you know how many
the
open
numbers
houses-
game.
How many open houses I've done where not a single person shows up?
And let's face it, sometimes it's the house.
Mhm.
I mean,
Exactly.
sometimes it's the oh, that's the other thing,
Pick a good.
pick a good location. Do not pick something weirdly remote.
Built, gated.
Yeah, gated, think about what you're doing, Terabella, you know, I mean, again. If a seller says to me, you know, what about an open house? If they are stuck out in Terabella somewhere, I'm just gonna tell them. We just don't have good luck with, you know, remote, you can do it to try and satisfy them if they insist. But between us as agents, right, we know that we're trying to lead generate from that, so we want to be somewhere where there's a lot of traffic. Oh, but be careful of too busy of a street, because I've done one like on Newcomb before and
Stop.
nobody would stop because, you know, they're flying by and there's no parking and they're scared to pull it in. You know, so I would say be mindful of what you're doing, but good houses. When I think the best open house I ever had, well, there was two, and I'm gonna say the word, Carmelita. Carmelita was absolutely one of the best well, I didn't do it, the agents did it, but it was nonstop. Ronnie was like, I can't, there's too many people. Chris was like, it's ridiculous. And then the other one I did was when the Smiths, do you remember? If you go all the way down Morton and Plano, that big white house where the Smiths live, I had that listing. Everybody on the face of the earth wanted to see that house. And we had probably 100 groups through. I had another agent. I went upstairs, she was downstairs, and we just tried to, it was more like crowd control, you know, it really wasn't. And guess how many people bought that house from that open house? Zero, none, none,
I remember I wanted to go just to go see.
Yeah, it's one of those houses.
yeah, yeah,
Well, that's a good point, though, you have to be aware, like if it's a bigger house,
yeah,
or even if it's not a bigger house, but if when you have something like that, those are the diamonds in the roughs that just turn into these crazy open houses, have another agent, cause you're just gonna
There's
lose.
just people
9
walking in and out, you never even got their name.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Fuck
the,
around.
there,
When you do have those, do them freaking. Do them, as many times as you can.
right,
And if you're scheduled to close at a certain time, you've got tons of people coming through, throw the freaking timeline out the window.
Yeah, just say, that's such a good point, Chris, because if you know that it's gonna be a really good, popular open house, don't book anything after it, like, don't, because you're gonna be stuck there, and the last thing you wanna do is slam the door on somebody's face and be like, oh, I gotta go. No, you wanna be accommodating, yeah, come on, in, you know? And then the next thing to talk about is sign-ins. I think it is important to get people to sign in. And, you know, to do that, it's a little tricky, right? But to do it, I would say for security purposes, you know, we just wanna know who's coming through. I know it sounds a little weird, but most people aren't going to fight you if you're like, I'm not, you know, like, you're trying to get my private information. What do you say, Jared, to get people to sign in?
Could you please sign in? And it's almost kind of required, right, anyways, so.
It is, do you give them a flyer until they sign in? Can't you kind of hold the flyer
No,
hostage?
I'm there at the beginning, so,
That one where the guy was sitting outside at the table and wouldn't let it.
Yeah, that guy was a little much. He wouldn't let us in.
And that wasn't even COVID.
Yeah, and it wasn't even COVID, it was just a controlling agent, like, and it started the tone so bad. You know, it just made you feel like, ugh,
I wonder if you could do something like that though, in a better way, that would be. You know, I wonder if you could just hire an assistant.
Yeah.
To sit outside and give a gift.
that's what I was gonna say.
Say, welcome, here's some water, here's. A flyer, here's. I don't know, a cookie,
Red
Yeah.
for your kids.
or like a little treat bag. like
Yeah.
Kids do at birthday parties.
But we're not giving it to you till you sign in.
I had one guy that just refused to, he just said, I'm just looking at this, and I go, okay, let me know if you have any questions, I just let him know.
Yeah, I do the same,
Yeah.
like, if they, yeah, if they're, it's almost better, cause the more you aggress, the more they're gonna retreat. So I feel like if you just, like, hey, I always, hi, I'm Sarah. What would you say, Chris, if I go, hi, I'm Sarah,
I'm just looking.
I'm Chris, yeah, or I'm Sarah Catalina, you're gonna say your name, right? It's just common being polite to do it. So you can hold the flyers. Oh, and even if you don't have flyers, I almost like that better, because it gives me a way to talk to them. Oh, this one is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, it was built in blah, 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 and the price is this. If you have any questions, just let me know. Right? And then they might have to. So, and then out of all of this and all the takeaway, whatever leads you get, guys, you gotta follow up. You know, it is documented, it takes about 5 touches after an open house to get them to respond to you. So if you touch them one time after and they don't respond and you give up, you're missing the boat. You gotta try, whether it's email, phone call, maybe a text. And you know, they're gonna tell you like, nah, we're definitely not interested, like, you know, we're not looking, we don't qualify, whatever, and then you would stop. But I think follow-up is the most important thing, because if you do an effective open house where you're talking to neighbors and doing all these wonderful things and providing all this information, and then you don't follow up with these people, it was waste.
Yep.
Right? Anything, Jared, that you would like, what have you been having good luck wise with open houses? What's been working? What hasn't been working?
Just conversation, being pleasant, I'm trying to make a connection. You know, what do they think about today's market, just having a conversation,
Do you ask a lot of questions?
depends on the person, I just read them, yeah. And I like how you say you kind of just let them go, just let them go freely, walk around, not too pressure.
They'll come to you with questions.
Yeah, I do,
Yeah.
because I don't like when I am going to an open house, if the agent starts. You know, going with me, you're kind of like, oh, wait, you know, because they won't speak.
Mhm.
Between themselves,
Mhm.
if you're following them, they won't.
Never call.
What about Chris? Do you have any?
If an agent comes through with their clients, tomorrow.
Yep,
I walked in with clients and the agent is smothering us, being like my clients and telling my clients all about this and that, and it's like, dude.
yeah, so
you can
Chris.
see it on-
Chris is talking about when he comes with a client and the agent that is doing the open house, like, is hovering as well, how uncomfortable that is. We're agents, we don't need the agent, and it's almost like when you go to a showing and the listing agent is required to be there. Ugh, most of the time I hate that, but what I'll say to them is something like, when I am the agent who has to be there, I'll say, I'm gonna give you a quick tour, very general overview, and then I'm gonna step out and let you guys take it from there, let me know if you have any questions. It's open house, it should almost be the same thing. If they come through, acknowledge them, oh, hi, yeah, nice to see you. Yep, here's the info, go ahead, let me know if you have any questions, because again, it's a good relationship between agents as well. You don't wanna step on their toes. Okay, do we have any other comments?
Stay consistent.
Stay consistent.
Literally, you will have open houses where nobody shows up and you will not wanna do them anymore. Put up signs and then to take down signs, but then you get one buyer from it and it makes it all worth it.
Yep, it is, I feel open houses are one of the most effective lead generating sources that we have. It's such a good skill set, and it lends itself into showing houses. They all interact, farming, open houses, SOI, social media, cold calling. All these skill sets all feed into, they're all cross.
Jessica asked how often you should, or how soon you should follow up with somebody.
Well, if it's an immediate question, Jessica, like if they wanna know how old the AC is, I am not gonna text the seller right there and say, how old is the AC? I'm gonna say, oh, let me write that down, I'm gonna get back to you. What number can I reach you at, right? If they've signed in, you may already have their number, but I would ask again, because they might have put a bogus number on the sign-in sheet, and now they really do have it, they do want an answer, so they're gonna give you. So I would ask them again, what's your number, can I shoot you a text on that? And I would do that right away, like right away. And then I would reach out to them the next day and say, did you have any other questions about the property? Like, try and keep the conversation going with them.
No, if someone hasn't responded and we said like 5 days, like five responses, if they haven't responded. I know me, I'd organically try to send them a house, cause that's
Yes.
what will get their engagement more than just asking them questions. Or if I were to is, hey, how's your home process, shopping
Yep.
process going?
Yep,
Have you seen this house?
yep. That's what I would always resort to, sending similar houses to the one they came to the open house. Until they tell you, don't send me any more houses. Because I have had buyers that I keep sending houses and you hear nothing. You hear crickets, and then all of a sudden, oh, they pop up like, oh, we'd like to see that one.
Or they'll send you one and say we want.
Yes, or they'll send you one like, hey, we'd like to look at this one. So, if they are not responding after about 5 attempts, then, and if you have their email, put them in sphere of influence, put them in sync, and put them in a drip campaign as a buyer.
And I believe one agent, I think their quota had been a year after they had attended the open house, they got them to buy. So they would send them listings, but the person would engage with, I'm not liking that house. But they would send them a house and every now and then they responded. And so the relationship carried out for a year and then they actually bought.
So we all understand that lead generating is putting things into your pipeline. It is not always immediate. It is, you have to nurture these leads, nurture the leads. If you only worked immediate leads, well, I guess if you had 30 buyers right now, you would only work immediate leads, right? But that were ready to buy right now. But most of us aren't in that situation. You've got different stages of what people are waiting, whether they're sellers that are wanting to sell, or buyers that are gonna buy at some point. But it's putting them into the pipeline. Throughout 25 years, I never really paid too much attention to how many I have in escrow. I never count my commission. I just keep shoving the leads into the pipeline and keep going with it. If a seller says, yeah, we want a list, but I think it's gonna be, in 3 months, then put them in sync. Set yourself a reminder or put it in your calendar, call them. And the day to call them. Hey, it's been about 3 months, just checking in, how are things going? Like, make sure you're strategic, don't just willy-nilly do it. So,
Also, a couple things about the signs,
yes,
90% of every person that ever comes through mine are from your signs.
that's right, I forgot, thank you, Chris, I forgot to talk about sign placement.
So. Do not, this is a pet peeve. Do not ever do an open house, not have create signs. Because without balloons, it blends into and people may subconsciously think it's a construction sign or something else. I can't tell you how many times I saw a sign without balloons and I think to myself, holy crap, I've just driven by this like 5 times, it's in my neighborhood or something, 5 times in the last like 30 minutes and didn't even notice it until now. Like, it's so easy to miss your sign when you don't have balloons. It doesn't have to be helium going all crazy, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just throw a couple balloons because they shake and they move in the wind and it catches your attention. It differentiates that from any other sign, whether it's a yard sale sign or a construction sign or anything like that. But this is your business, this is what you do. Put freaking balloons on your sign.
You can order those balloons, I think, from All Things Real Estate that say open house on them. And like Chris said, you don't have to put helium, just blow them up, cause they move in the wind, they fly.
Yeah, they have them on eBay as well.
Or flags, something.
I just literally, it's $1 something for a couple dollars for a pack of like 20 balloons.
Yeah,
I buy a couple packs and don't blow them up all super tight either because they'll pop with the sun hitting them. So especially if they're black balloons, try not to use black ones. I always do just because I like the color, but if you're gonna do the black ones, blow it up like half because otherwise it's just gonna pop up sometime.
oh, from the heat.
From the heat, it'll black absorbs the heat better. But all I do is blow them up by mouth, tie them together, put a little string on the thing, and ain't that hard. It's not difficult. It's not that much.
It does make a
Not that
difference.
much extra time. It's just the most annoying thing. Like, why would you make it harder for people to see your signs?
Yeah.
You're dedicating several hours of your time trying to get people to come through.
Why not do that?
Easier for-
And then when you're done and you bring the signs back, cut the balloons off, guys, cause you don't wanna leave for the next people to have to cut them off.
And then sign placement. You have to, if 90% of all the people that come to your house are from the signs, you have to identify the main veins of the city that you're gonna be at. And even if you, like, it's better to, instead of have them surrounding you, it's better to go out and have one path for them to come in, if that's the number of signs that you have to work with. Have one path, one straight path from the main vein, like reach out to the main vein, know where most of the cars in the traffic's going. Identify the best corner that it's gonna be seen from. With balloons and direct them in from that vein. And if you're close enough to multiple, like if you're on near Prospect, well, okay, then hit, Henderson and Newcomb, Henderson and Prospect, Henderson and frickin' 165 or I don't know, just something like hit all of them that you can. If that's where 90% of your people is gonna be coming from,
Yeah.
seeing your signs, hit them.
Like, when you're off of Westfield, like in between Westwood and Newcomb, I always just try and direct them in both ways because Newcomb's very busy. Westwood is very busy. Get them to that one street that goes into the neighborhood, it's only gonna be 2 on this end, directing this way, 1 on the street going into the neighborhood, and then however you get to the house from there. If you don't like coming and picking up signs at the office, buy your own. If you are going to do a lot of open houses, you're welcome to use ours, But it's so much easier if you have your own, and you can have 20 of them if you want to, and go and put them out. I mean, like Chris, but think about where you're putting them.
Yeah, don't put it, if there's a freaking car that's parked on the corner, don't put the freaking sign in front of a parked car where now only one direction can see your sign. And
Those big flags that they saw on Amazon too are really nice, and that way you don't even have to waste the sign on the front, you already have the sign in the yard and use that big fluttering one, that one always helps too.
Mhm.
And those are cheap, you can get those for like $30-40 signs.
Yep. Okay. All right. Any last questions? Last chance.
don't-
Comments?
The only other comment I'll say is on the inside of the house, look professional and look good, don't look like a freaking jackass who just got there and did.
Yep.
It's just standing there fiddling your thumbs with a case of water sitting on it. Like, present yourself. I've literally gotten listings from people who are like, you know your stuff, you look so professional, I'm just so impressed with what you've done here.
Yep.
You come look at my house, I mean, that's not gonna happen that often, like rarely, but you're representing yourself. Have something in the house, like, maybe you don't have to go all out if you don't want to, I think you should, there's no reason not to, so you're just dedicating this time. But do something to where you look professional, like dress nice. Something to look professional, invest in that.
Well, and I would think, I know a lot of agents wanna put a lot of time into the food. I think the food is less important than your presentation and the info that you bring. Because they've gotta have something to take with them. And I think the listing presentation and the buyer presentation are probably the two most important. If you have a really nice listing presentation, and maybe instead of just doing the printout, maybe put it in one of those, those folders with the clear, present it really well. Or buy a couple of the downtown folders and slip them in there and put your card in there.
I've never done an open house where I provide any food or water, I've never done that. And I've had tons of success, people aren't going to an open house to get a free cookie or
Right,
whatever, so
right.
I'm interested.
And sometimes I would just do like a little bowl of candy, like just something out there,
The most important thing is just looking professional.
It is, and a lot of people don't want people trailing food through their house, that's the other thing. If you're gonna do an open house, and if you like to bring things, some people do, then you better ask the seller if that's okay. Cause I've had kids, when you got a chocolate chip cookie and they're going through the
carpet.
house and the carpet's white and you're going, you just wanna be sure.
Or if the house doesn't smell good, or smells.
Yes.
stale, or
Candles.
Candles,
This all goes to effort and preparation,
Yep.
my most successful open house was in Terabella.
oh, see, and here we
Yeah,
back out
no,
to
that's good.
Terabella.
And that was my first listing, so not that I lost interest, I wanna still do a good job. But it's a little different out there. I talked to somebody and asked if they could please take my flyers to the pistachio plant. If I could please, I went to the gas station.
Oh,
You probably aren't gonna get a response from Save My Hair, can I leave these at the end of the house? No, man, but this is Terabella. So Highland, I did an open house at the seller's request. But during the fair, I didn't want to, but I did Saturday and Sunday, and coach softball. But I was setting up my open house signs, I took a couple steps back and looked, and then somebody honked, and they're like. They seen I was putting the extra effort in. Don't know who the guy was, I obviously never seen him again. But it goes to effort and preparation. I was parking on the back street probably about a year ago, it's a true story. And I seen an agent walking up and down my street, putting on a car thing, one of them, she threw the full page open house thing in the yard. And it blew, and I picked it up, it's on my fridge today, just as a reminder, like.
don't do that.
No. So sometimes there's a huge separation from those people that do everything and a lot of good things to where, they're just throwing it in yards, kicking things around and,
And don't you think you need to be strategic with what you're doing? And where you're at, like I said, Terabella, but here, Jared had his best ever open house at Terabella, but he also tailored his marketing to that location. You took it to the Minute Mark, you took it to the pistachio plant. Did you get people off the signs? No.
probably, cause it was close to the 65. So I did have a 65 sign, I had one that came around, and the price point was pretty good, so.
Yeah.
You know, had some good pictures
I
and
think if you're in like the neighborhood in the city of Terabella, you're probably good.
from the main street and going that way, where a lot of shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In that neighborhood, Terabella people love Terabella, and they're. I don't know, I could see that.
But we're all with Gunner too, we've all had our zeros and like, nobody came.
One that you think is gonna be really good, you get nothing.
Yeah,
For one neighbor that there's,
Yeah, you hear crickets. So,
when you get a sell from one, then you're like, okay.
yeah, then it spurs you on.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, so next week is gonna be SOI. How to lead generate through your SOI. And then JJ is gonna be kind enough to give us a little tutorial on sync, but the basics. We're not going to do a deep dive on sync, just the basics that you all should be using. Because JJ has been doing a lot of research and JJ says it's just as good as Boomtown. It does all kinds of things and he's doing a deep dive on it. And I pay for it.
And mind you, he was paying a lot of money for his other one before that.
Yes. So, okay, thanks guys, and we'll see you on Saturday. Hi, Cindy.
Hey.